if the pre-workout from Clean has beta alanine?
I'm gonna look right now. I'm gonna pull it up. And so are you doing the pre-workout or are you doing the
Yeah,
BCAA?
it's the BCAA plus
BC?
peak
I
ATP.
don't believe so, but let me just double check. I know where it is right here on the screen, so I'm gonna check. I have their site up, so let's see. No, there is not. There's leucine, isoleucine, and valine, and the ATP. So no, there is no beta alanine in that. Just double
Okay.
checking on the other.
What are your thoughts on that? Because I was talking to a guy yesterday who he reached out to me. He's also 41 years old. He's a swimmer trying to get back into it.
Mhm.
And he is a kinesiology guy, strength coach, and he wanted to, just kind of swap info about
Sure.
training. And he said that getting a pre-workout with a beta alanine has been helpful for him.
Mhm.
And so, do you think that I should do that as well?
So, a couple things. Beta alanine is a non-essential amino acid, so that means your body naturally makes it. You don't have to get it through foods because we can get it through food, so our body naturally makes that. So, how that actually works, what we recommend is that if you use beta alanine, the most ideal way, as we go off the USOC guidelines, the most ideal way to load that and use that in your body is you load it through a 4-week loading process. Okay, and then you go into an indefinite maintenance process, which is super simple. But when you load that up, it builds up a level in your body that allows your body to block absorption of some of the lactic acid. So pretty much anybody can like that, especially if you have a medium or especially a slow recovery, which you're medium, but a medium can still benefit. You have a sprint gene. So you have
Yeah.
that more type 2 muscle fiber, right? The more fast twitch that will fatigue harder from strength, speed, and power. So you could find some benefits from beta alanine. Can you get some benefits a little before workout, a little after for recovery? Yes, you can, but to really maximize lactic acid blocking, you
Yeah.
want to go through the loading process. But you could try something with beta alanine or just take beta alanine in addition to the BCAA if that's something you've used pre-workout. You can just add beta alanine to that, but to really get maximum benefits, so you delay your time to fatigue. You get
Yeah.
longer all out effort. And, we don't know how long that is. Is it 0.01? Is it zero point 0.5? Is it 1.6? We don't know how much longer you get a max effort before your body actually hits that threshold in fatigue, but it does delay time to fatigue. A lot of people have found benefits in lifting with it, right? They're able to lift better. They're able to not have as much lactic acid sitting in the body. They're better. They can race. There's definitely people have found some great benefits from it.
Yeah.
So ideally, you want to kind of load it properly to get the best benefit.
Now, speaking of loading,
Hmm.
so generally with these things like creatine, you
Uh-huh.
know, people talk about loading.
Uh-huh.
Uh, I remember when I first started taking creatine, reading about that, but I didn't actually do it. I just kind of
Mhm.
went straight into just the maintenance level of like, okay, a scoop after every workout, boom. And there was no like big loading phase for me. Um, how important is loading with any of this stuff, whether it's creatine or beta alanine? And specifically, like, what happens if somebody just jumps in and is like, okay, maintenance level, boom, no
Mhm.
loading, just the scoop a day that it tells me to take.
Okay,
What's the
yep.
difference?
So specifically in creatine, there is really conflicting evidence on should you load it, should you not load it. The only thing that's really important is if you are going to take it, you should take it every day, whether you're training, whether you're not training, and you should be
Really?
consistent.
So
Mhm.
wait, hold up on that thought. So, on Sundays I don't train, my
Mhm.
day off. Like
Yep.
right now, today I'm taking a day off because I'm still feeling wrecked from the meet. I should still be taking
Yeah.
creatine today?
So take creatine. Yep. So still take it, and you always want to take it with protein. If you don't take
Oh,
it with protein, you're not getting your max benefits out of it. So make sure you get some protein with it. Now, some things you read will say, hey, if you load, so for 4 days, you do 20 grams a day instead of your normal 5 grams, kind of maintenance dose, that you will find extra benefits. Other things say, no way, you don't, it doesn't matter, right? You're just peeing out a ton of creatine, right? So I tell people, whatever you feel comfortable, even on days off, you want to keep taking it. And like I said, there's conflicting evidence. So if you feel good with what you're doing and you feel good benefits out of just, daily maintenance dose 6 or 7 days a week, awesome. If you want to try the overload of it, right, the 4 days of 20 grams a day broken up into 4 different times a day, you can give that a shot, right? Everybody feels benefits differently. Maybe you don't get enough through your food. Maybe you're not, there's just a lot of reasons each person could feel differently going through the loading process or not going through the loading process. If you already get enough in your diet, going through the loading process, you might not feel a single thing, right? But you could try that and see how you like it. But first I would probably recommend just going every day, right? Regardless
okay.
of training or not training, and keep adding
Okay.
that routine. Now with
Huh.
beta, it's different than creatine because we're trying to build up carcinogen levels in your body. The only
Beta
way,
alanine.
yeah. So the only way to do that is to go through the loading process to get maximal effect of lactic acid blocking. That's the only
Hmm.
way to do that. So that is different. Can you get little benefits of beta alanine? You'll find it in post workouts, pre workouts. Yes, there's little tiny benefits you can also get, but to get maximum benefit out of that, that is a loading process. That's different than creatine. You're not building levels in your body of creatine.
Yeah. So you're saying beta alanine, it shouldn't be something that is simply incorporated into a pre-workout mix. It should be its own process,
Yes.
and it should begin with a loading phase.
Correct. And that's a 4-week load, and it's with the Clean Athlete brand, it's 2 tablets, so it's 1.6 grams. You will find powder formats and on the marketplace as well, but you want to do 1.6 grams 3 times a day with food. So breakfast, lunch, dinner is really
1.6.
the
Wow.
most common way people can easily incorporate that into their routine. So three times a day for 4 weeks, and you'd be very diligent, whether you're training, or you're not training, doesn't matter. So you
Okay.
ideally build that up. Some people get the tingles early on because they're building up those levels, right? That's normal. That is totally normal. That goes away. But then after that, after your 4 weeks, so I tell people set an alarm on your phone, on your calendar, that 4 weeks is up, and then you go to maintenance. And so you go 2 times a day. So you drop one of your meals with your beta alanine. That's it. And so you can go indefinite maintenance phase. Most people never have to reload beta alanine because even if you take a break out of the water or you're not training, you could not take maintenance dose beta alanine for up to 8 weeks without having to reload it. So if you take 4 weeks
Huh.
off and you don't take it, you're like, I don't want to waste the money on this. You don't have to, and you can go right back into maintenance phase.
And I'm assuming you would recommend starting this loading phase at the beginning of a new training cycle, not
Mhm.
like not 4 weeks into a taper.
No,
Um,
probably not messing with things already, but yes, ideally you want to load that 4 weeks before your heaviest training cycle or a kind of large competition that's coming up. That's the recommendation. I mean, honestly, you can start at any time, but that's where you really ideally want to be totally into past loading phase when you're hitting that huge training block or you have a big competition you're focusing on.
Interesting. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm gonna. So I have 2 more weeks of taper. Then it's the
Okay.
big meet.
Okay.
God, I can't believe it. It's already the meet's next weekend. Um, and then I go back into a 6 week spike. Um, and so I'm gonna try to start beta alanine after next week. So in 2 weeks from today. when I hop back into that spike, um,
Okay.
and see if I can get some benefit from that.
Okay.
Um, Maybe avoid the tingles. What are the tingles?
So I personally I can't say I've ever experienced it because that wasn't something that was really around, or I wasn't aware of it when I was swimming. It would have been awesome for me. But people explain the tingles as like their fingers will tingle, their body will sort of tingle, their leg, they get this little kind of like tingly feeling with it. Even if you get a pre-workout with it, it's not uncommon to feel a little tingly just because they've typically put a fair amount in that pre-workout. Some people never get it. They never get it. So I don't, you may or may not. Just FYI,
Okay,
it's
as long,
totally
like I said, as long as it doesn't kill me until after I'm done.
until after you're done. Well, nobody has reported those types of side effects yet. So I think we're okay.
Okay, was there something else that you wanted to cover, or was it just kind of
Just wondered, is there anything else that's been really positive addition, do you feel like, or change, or anything that's been from our original conversation, or anything you've done differently since that first conversation of going through your results?
well, I mean, it yeah, it's all been good. It, it's all it's all been worked together, and holistically, it's been helpful. Um, like uh, upping the hydration,
Mhm.
adding the vitamin B,
Yeah.
and the pre-workout. Like all of those together have made me feel just better day to day.
Mhm.
Um, again, it's so I don't know. It's one of those things like, is it all in my head? And
Sure.
this is like wishful thinking. Um, but I don't know. I feel like for the first time, I've tweaked my my diet and what I put in my body, and it's actually been noticeable, a noticeable difference. Um, I think I told you, I uh, in conjunction with how I've changed my training as
Mhm.
well, I feel like day to day I walk around with more energy.
Mhm.
At times, even in the heaviest parts of training, I outside of like when I leave the gym, from the end of workout to the next workout, I almost feel like kind of tapered, like walking around feeling good. Um, and that's a brand new feeling, and it's wonderful. It's great not walking around just feeling dead. Um, so and yeah, it's been a really good process so far.
Okay. Awesome. Well, that's great. I mean,
Um,
energy is what everybody wants, right? Everybody wants
yeah,
more energy. And if you can get some of that with diet adjustments or adding in nutritional supplements based on things you just didn't even know your body wasn't converting or absorbing well. Have
yeah,
you watched the folic acid intake at all? Is that something you've been mindful
I
of with
have. Yeah,
your
I mean, I
food?
always check the labels. Um, with folic acid, in this country, it's almost like corn.
I
It's
know.
in everything.
Yeah.
It's so hard to get away from folic acid and corn syrup, cornstarch. Like
Mhm.
it's it's like, damn it, how bad do I really want to eat this?
I know.
Um,
And you
and
can
some,
afford some little thing, like,
no, I
some people
know,
are just
I
going to,
know.
right? Yeah, it's gonna
Um,
happen, and that's okay.
and I allow for that. I'm like, nah, I like this too much. I'm just gonna eat it. Um,
Yeah, and
because
that's
I do have
okay.
so few indulgences in in my
Right,
life.
right. Little
It's
things are fine here and there, right? We all are gonna eat it at times,
yeah.
and that's okay.
Um, but I have cut way back on wheat. You know, I, I went from like I thought I was doing great cutting out white
Mhm.
bread, no white pasta, no white rice, and just going to wheat everything. And and now I'm trying to get rid of wheat, and I'm going to like the chickpea pasta and cutting way back on wheat bread that
Mhm.
wasn't big, but it was, frequent-ish. Um, and basically no more milk,
Mhm.
unless it's in like a recipe, that calls for some heavy whipping cream, something like that. There's really it's just almond milk with that protein creatine mix.
Mhm.
um, that is where I'm a little less certain, and it's more like, okay, is that helping me, or is it just part of the big picture, and everything that I'm doing, it's all making me feel better.
Right.
That one, I don't know how much of a jump I felt in how much of a benefit I got from it.
Okay. Okay. Gotcha. Yeah, and it could be, and remind me, where were you taking that before, James? Where were you doing the creatine? Were you doing it before workout, or were we not doing
After.
after? Okay, gotcha. Gotcha. Okay. So, yeah, I mean, you're already a great athlete. It's not like this was like earth-shattering things that were like, "Oh my gosh, wow, I should be swimming the, 1500." Like this is totally, like different small adjustments, but 10 small adjustments add up to one major adjustment. And so all these little things that you've done, just being more conscious on the wheat, taking out, the milk unless it's in a recipe, watching out for the folic acid, just like little things like that can be big. And like I tell everybody else, if you get rid of the folic acid from the unnecessaries, your vitamins, your pasta, your breads, right? It affords you the, I want to eat a brownie today. Okay, that's fine, right? And it affords you that flexibility here and there to do that. Or I want to go to Five Guys and have a cheeseburger. Like, cool, great. But at least you're not impacting your body with it daily from completely unnecessary places. Right.
Yeah.
There's no
Yeah.
reason to put it in those things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else that you feel like still needs adjustments or things that you were hoping to feel but haven't yet? Things that need some tweaking still to this day?
No, if you have any other thoughts besides the beta alanine to add starting in 2 weeks,
Hmm.
um, let me know. I
Okay.
definitely, that's one I will definitely begin that.
Okay.
Um, and then it's interesting, going back to weight. Um, I told you I got up to 220
Yep.
in in the summer,
Okay.
and I felt
Yep.
like that was too much. That like I was just too heavy in the water. And so I've scaled it back, and my new target is like 215. But it's been a bit more difficult to keep on the weight. Um, I've found myself sliding, even dipping below 210 at times. Um, and that coincided with, dropping out the milk,
Mhm.
where I was getting some easy protein, picking up some easy numbers there. Um, I did scale back, excuse me, on my protein powder intake, and I think that was also a big part because that was like 40. No, it was more than 40 grams. Just boom, easy in one drink. Um, Easy way to get my protein, and so, and I think too in eating leaner, cutting out the wheat breads and stuff that I think they were a very supplemental part of my diet, where
Mhm.
it was filler, and it was helping keep the weight on.
Mhm.
And cutting that stuff out, now I'm looking at very lean meals. It's like
Mhm.
salmon and rice and avocado and things that have like good, very good fats and protein and good benefits for you, but they're very lean.
Yep.
And it's for somebody who burns like a furnace still at 41. I've noticed it's hard to keep the weight on.
Sure. Sure. Do you ingest a whole lot of nut butters, like peanut butters, almond butters,
Well,
cashew
I
butters?
I don't, because the way I'm not a big peanut butter fan, but I
Okay.
will eat it on a toasted wheat bread.
Mhm.
Um, And so when I cut back, like that used to be a little snack that would also pop my protein intake
Sure.
that I would have, but I cut that out because I was trying to get rid of the wheat bread.
Sure.
So
So don't be afraid of the bread. I mean, if it is organic wheat bread, it's not going to have folic acid in it. So like the
yeah,
Dave's Killer Bread line is great
right.
because they are organic. They have lots of different types, power seed, white, wheat. I mean, they have all kinds of different versions of it. They also have bagels, English muffins.
Yeah,
So you can at least use that. It just not don't have to get rid of the wheat bread totally. It's just making sure you use a brand that doesn't have folic acid. I believe, and don't quote me on this, this is coming from another client, but like they showed me their bread and they had Aunt Millie's wheat bread and it said no folic acid right on the front. So, and they're not even organic. So there's lots of different wheat or bread options that don't have folic acid. So don't feel like you have to cut the bread or the bagel out. It's just making sure the one that you buy doesn't have that folic acid in it.
now just as a refresher, why is folic acid the devil?
It's not the devil, but it's definitely some people could relate it to that. So your body can't convert it to the usable form called folate very well. You should be able to convert 100% of that, but when you have mutations on the MTHFR gene, it doesn't allow your body to do that well. So two things then happen. One, you can get folate deficient, right? That because you're not converting all the folic acid that we as Americans many times rely on for our real folate to convert it into folate so we can use it. Which, if you get low in folate, depression, mental health, cramping, recovery, energy can be very tough when it comes, especially to a normal person, but it's also to an athlete. And then the other part is that if you aren't converting all of that, the leftover stays in your body and really takes a ton of energy to convert that. It kind of attacks our natural disease fighting cells that we have in our body and it weakens them and makes them, not as strong and powerful to fight disease and illness that may develop inside of our bodies. So the two pieces there, one, doesn't necessarily have anything to do with swimming with fighting disease and health, but lifelong health wise, that's pretty pretty powerful. And we want to keep our disease fighting cells really healthy. We don't want them weak and to destroy them and attack them. But as an athlete, and you're not a woman, but a lot of women, if they're getting folate deficient and have MTHFR, they're having a lot of menstrual cycle, women's health concerns, hormone concerns going on. So that's why we want to keep folic acid out as much as we reasonably can and not putting it in the things there's really no reason to have. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because those
Okay.
B vitamins, always think about your B vitamins as your gas tank. If you don't replenish your gas tank, your car turns off and it's on the side of the road, right? And you're calling for help. That's like your body. If we don't give you the right usable form of B vitamin for your body's going to be crashed out. And we don't want that.
Yeah.
That makes sense. That's
Yeah.
the cliff notes for you.
Yeah, yeah, for
Okay.
sure.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, those are the things that I've noticed lately. Um, just just with my weight, I guess, I won't be so uh, like dogmatic with the wheat bread.
Mm-hmm.
Um, uh, I may I may up my protein. What? How do you feel about using protein powder for somebody like me who,
Mm-hmm.
like, if I had to eat my way to the protein I need, it would be just nonstop eating.
Yeah. Yep.
Um,
Totally.
how do you feel about using protein in higher quantities, not just like base level, but like, okay,
Yep.
I'm not going to do one scoop a day. I'm going to take two scoops to kind of shortcut my way to the protein I need.
Yep.
How do you feel about that?
Yep, great question. So you are totally right. It is like really, really hard or nearly impossible to eat your way to protein goals when it comes to trying to eat chicken and meat. Because with chicken, for example, or beef, you're actually only going to use and be able to take about 60% of that protein in there anyway. So if it says 100 grams of protein of meat too, right? Let's just say it does, 60 grams is all your body's able to
That's a
really
big chicken.
use. That's a big chicken, right? But you're only going to use about 60 grams of that, right? So eggs, you actually can use 100% and are able to take that. And then whey protein is the other one that you can take and use 100% of that protein. So if you're using like an isolate because of dairy sensitivities, a whey protein isolate like the Clean Athlete one is fine. There's a lot of other options out there too. That one just comes to mind off the top of my head. Or Thorne has a whey isolate as well. There's a lot of isolate versions out there that help with the lactose and issues there for people that are dairy sensitive.
Yeah.
So eggs are a good source of protein, but you can take like, let's say you use the Clean Athlete isolate and you double scoop it, right? And so you're getting 40 grams of protein. If that backs you up, right? One of the big symptoms is constipation, right? With having too much protein and not being able to digest it. Now that is super absorbable and quick digesting, so you should be
Right.
okay in that sense. But also if you find yourself backed up, right, or your stomach and digestion are suffering, a lot of people will use glutamine, okay, with it to help digest and break down the protein. Sometimes you even see glutamine already added to many of those high protein powders that might have like 50 grams of protein in it. They already put the glutamine in there to help you break it down and actually use it. Right. So as long as you're not finding yourself constipated or really struggling digestively, right? If you're
Yeah.
using a quick absorber like a whey isolate or even pea protein for a vegan option, because it's very easy to break down in the system, you can go those routes and you should be okay. But if you do get into that source, I just like maybe potentially a glutamine supplement just to help might be just so we don't stress your digestive system.
And I'm actually, you mentioned eggs. I have been popping hard boiled eggs.
Okay.
That's sort of accidentally taken the place of those snacks that I used to have, like peanut butter with bread.
Okay.
Um, but I feel like it doesn't fill me up. It's
Right.
just a
They're
good source of
supplemental.
protein.
Right. So have an egg and a peanut butter with protein,
Yeah.
right? There's some good protein or some good fats. You can even buy omega-3 fed chicken eggs. So you can find those in the store. Sometimes you get even more omega-3 out of that. So there's lots of different nutrients you can get through eggs. And if eggs don't bother you, then great, have that with your hard-boiled egg with that protein, with your peanut butter and your toast. That's totally
Yeah.
fine. Extra protein. The better you can break it up through your day, right, is the best because you're easily absorbing and digesting instead of slamming your body with 50 grams of whey protein. That's like, what the heck am I going to do with all this, right? The more you can just sort of break it up through the day, the better.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
And I've had people use multiple times a day of protein powder when they're in that weight gain or weight holding onto method. I can't share because you're the host, but there's a product on Amazon that I have found, and a couple of my like high school aged male clients have used it. And
Oh,
because they're trying to hold on to mass, like their body mass. So
yeah.
they've used this product called Vegan a Naked Mass. So it's
Oh,
vegan. The regular naked mass has some ingredients in it I'm not really in love with, but the vegan version is totally clean. And in 4 scoops, it's 1,200 calories, 1,230 calories, I believe. So even if you one scoop it, right, you're in that 300-ish range, which is a nice addition to before you go to bed, after practice, right? It's helping you hold on to weight. So that's something
right.
out there too. And it's a pretty big tub. And if you don't do the 4 scoops every time, then it goes pretty far. Like that's a lot of calories to come
Mhm.
into the system, right? But I've had some
Right.
people literally make some 10-pound weight gains over the course of a few months because they're actually able to hold on to stuff and not losing weight anymore. So vegan
So
naked mask.
yeah. So going back just to something you said about your high school athletes, you're okay with high schoolers like my son, who's
Mhm,
15
mhm.
and doesn't weigh anything, um, using protein?
Mhm. Yeah, especially if it's clean, it's lining up with their genetics. Now we don't know what your son has, but we can just assume based on what you have, right? There's probably some similarities there. So we'd probably want to keep folic acid, artificial sweeteners, and colors and flavors out of it. But yeah, for like a holding on to weight or in periods of really heavy training where they're finding their weight declining, they can't put on muscle mass, adding a protein after practice or before they go to bed or even during the school day, like some people like those little ready to drink twist off drink, it's a liquid form of protein like the Aloha drinks. It's just supplementing and giving their body more without doing something that's one dangerous or really truly like a performance supplement, right? Because high school kids' calorie intake is probably their number one challenge
Yeah.
for sure, right? That's tough.
Okay. Okay. Well, um, yeah, I think on my end, that's everything I had.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah. We went through
I,
I'd like to hear the stuff that maybe still needs some adjustment, which I'm glad we talked about the calorie and the holding on to weight piece, because don't be afraid of bread. Just make sure it doesn't have folic acid. Right. So that's good news. Good news for December 5th. But that's good. I'm glad everything's going well. And you have the graphic to order Clean Athlete, is that right? At your disposal. You're able to
yeah.
get that ordered. Okay, awesome. Yeah, order whatever you want. Anybody in your household, like feel free to order anything for anyone in your household that may need things, or your son, if he wants to try the, protein powder or something, feel free. I mean, anybody that's in your house, use that for. And that should work indefinitely. So I've had people using Clean Athlete
Yeah.
this.
That's great because they don't give you very much of
Mhm.
any one of their things.
Yep.
It's all
Yep.
small bottles, small container stuff,
Yep.
and it goes so fast
Hmm.
that it's like, shit, this is expensive if I've got to pay the full price
Exactly. Exactly.
every month.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, no, it's good.
Yeah, and feel free to load up too. I know it's a $10 ship, no matter what size order. If you get over like 300 or 400 bucks, I think it's I think it's free. But I've had a lot of people, order for 3 or 4 months at a time, and then they save on that shipping. Like the B complex lasts for about 2 months, right? It's a 60, there's 60
Yeah,
capsules in there. You do one a month, right? The omega and the multi go pretty quick.
yeah, the omega goes so fast, and so do the
Yeah,
antioxidants because
and
those are like
antioxidants goes fast. Yep.
three a dose.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
So their products don't have a ton of shelf sustainability, and that's why they don't make huge bottles. After talking with the company, they don't have like this 3-year, shelf life. They're
I guess that's a
because
good thing.
no, it's a right. It's a good thing. Like the McDonald's cheeseburger, right? You leave a McDonald's cheeseburger on the counter for 3 years, it looks exactly like it did 3 years ago. So, I mean, that's not something you necessarily want to put into your body. So, yes, their shelf life is not super long just because of their sustainability and how well they do with like, ingredients that are real, right? They put real
Right,
stuff and that doesn't have a long shelf life for sure.
right.
You've probably realized with certain breads, if you leave Ezekiel bread out on the counter, it's going to mold in a couple of days, right? If you leave Wonder bread on the counter, it's going to be good for probably 6 months. So
God, I
stay.
hope not.
That's pretty ugly. Yeah. Well, let me know, if things come up or questions, if you have them. I'm excited to watch the meet. What meet are you going to here in next weekend?
Pro-Am. It's
Pro-Am.
the
Yep. The Texas one.
KMSC Pro-Am.
Oh, the
Yeah.
the KMSC one. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, that's a fun meet. That's been going on for years. That's a cool meet though.
Yeah, I think it's gone on for like 30 or 40 years.
It's been so long. It's a nice pool. Clubs all over the country go. That's a fun meet. So yeah, swim fast. Good luck. Have fun. That'll be awesome. I'll be watching results. I didn't know you were going to that one, so now I have specific reason to watch results. It'll be fun. Cool. Anything else you need from me, James?
Um, no, no. I think I think I'm good. Just anxious and curious to do the next thing with the beta alanine.
Yep. Yep. So that would be probably a good one to think about adding to your routine. And let me know if you have any problems or issues with that or questions as you start that process.
Yeah. Okay. We'll do. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, good luck. Good luck. I'm excited to see and watch and follow up and see how things went. Okay.
Yeah. I'll let you know.
Okay. Sounds good. Well, thanks for hopping on, James. Good to see you. And I'll
You too. Take it
be
easy.
watching. Okay. Thanks. You too. Bye, James.
Bye.